G'day everybody and welcome to the Biker Bar. It's always great to have you here. Today we have a special guest, America's Queen of Speed herself, Valerie Thompson. Valerie's the world's fastest female motorcycle racer and is a 10-time land speed record holder, and these are just a few of her achievements. Valerie, welcome to the Biker Bar.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
I just wanted to start this, our discussion, I guess, just by showing a short trailer, just to highlight some of the things that you get up to. So if you don't mind, I'll share that now.
There's only one fastest motorcycle on Earth or any nearby planet. It's not a record, this is the record. Right now the record's gone, I want it back. I have the weapon. Now the big question is the rider. She's going half the speed of sound on 2 wheels. She could die.
So there you go.
Absolutely.
I guess that gives the viewers some idea, and I've also got some photos here that I want to show. Do you want to run through just briefly what some of these pictures are telling us?
Yeah. So this is the Bub 7 motorcycle streamliner, which has set quite a few records in its past. And the ultimate record for this class is 376 miles per hour. It's a streamliner, blown fuel, 3000 cc class, and so far I have been 328 miles per hour, 0.467. Yeah.
Right, here's a fun one.
Well, that's a fun one because you always have to have fun on the Bonneville Salt Flats, and whenever I can do a happy jump or a jump, we use umbrellas at the Salt Flats because there is no shade unless if you bring the shade. So I was using my Mary Poppins Amazon.com cute little black and white umbrella.
What have we got? We've got a Harley. We're on the Harley here.
Well, that is my Harley Davidson. It's the year 2000, and I've customized it along the way. Many upgrades, especially with the engine, and that is the bike that I learned how to drag race down Scottsdale Road.
Oh, really?
That's how I started racing, is with this motorcycle. And somebody had told me that I was out of control to take it to the track. And a bunch of us, we went to the racetrack, and I never left. I took my fat boy over 112 miles per hour. And that's how my journey of the motorcycle racing started.
Right. What have we got? This is a 4-wheeler.
Well, this is my 4 wheels. This is my new 4-wheel journey. And we are headed back to the Salt Flats to do a little test and tune this early July. So I have to go over 460 plus miles per hour in order to capture the world record, or capture the Southern California Timing Association record. It's called SETA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I got a lot of work to do because it was in Australia for a couple of years because of the pandemic. We shipped this car over to Australia at the Lake Gairdner event, and it ended up kind of hanging out for a few years, and we just got it back last December. So this year I'm going to go right back in it and get some seat time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of pics here, and I'll touch on this later on.
Absolutely.
You're into pickleball.
I am.
And you're on Pickleball magazine, which is
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty.
And the
cool.
other picture side by side is in the cockpit of me before I was I was probably doing a startup procedure, and pretty fancy cockpit, I guess. It's pretty bumpy inside, so it's I enjoy every moment I can do. I can to actually stand up.
I think you'd have to be pretty switched on to navigate that cockpit, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Love the look. I love this picture.
I do too. It was it's a land speed racing bike owned by Keith Ball, and I raced it in the 2000 APS class, and my top speed was 161 miles per hour, and the record ended up being 156 miles per hour.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a long bike that I could barely touch the ground with my arms and my legs, and I could never sit up straight. So I really needed somebody at the end of the racetrack to actually help me, because after you're racing, your arms are so, you got so much adrenaline in your arms, and they're pumped up in your forearms, and you're taking a beating, on the salt, and the suspension is there, but it's not like, the greatest suspension because it's all Mother Nature.
And there's another picture of the BMW.
My most favorite motorcycle in the world. That is my BMW S1000 RR, and I've set 5 land speed records with that bike, and it's an amazing motorcycle, and I'm sitting there right next to my favorite product on the bike, besides the bike itself, is my Akrapovich exhaust system.
Yeah, nice. Now I'm going to come to this one. So this is a little bit different to what we've been talking about, but I guess not too dissimilar.
Well, that's a very that bike is an amazing motorcycle. It's an NHRA, which is the National Hot Rod Association race bike. It's the highest level here in America that you can take it down the quarter-mile drag strip, and that's how I started racing, was being a drag racer. And these days, it's about a 380 horsepower motorcycle, and it weighs about 625-ish pounds. I don't know what they weigh now, but these pro stock motorcycle riders are going over 200 miles per hour at 6.7 plus seconds in a quarter mile. So truly amazing motorcycle, and it's a beast.
It's just amazing to look at all that you've done, and that's not even half of it. So we've talked about your land speed records and your drag racing, but you actually started your professional career working in a bank. How did that lead to racing motorcycles?
Well, I was working in the banking industry for 13 years, and it was the greatest job I had, I thought I had at the time, and it still was, and it still is, because 13 years of my life, and then to be laid off, and yes, I could have chose the path to keep going and keep, in the banking industry, and but I said to myself, there's something that I want to do outside. I want to be outdoors. Something is going to come to me. I don't know what it is. If I have to start a new journey and with a new career, okay, so be it. I can always have the banking world to fall back on, because my family, my aunt, she was in the banking world, and that's what my grandparents, they like, you need to be a banker like your aunt, so I'm like, "Ugh, okay." I really wanted to be an ice skater, a professional ice
Yeah.
skater, or a hairdresser, or there's another part about me wanting to be in the forensic files, to like
Yeah.
do the bodies of the deceased, and and autopsies stuff. Like Quincy Jones back in those days. I was a huge Quincy Jones fan, and I wanted to be like those people.
And you went into drag racing, and then obviously into the land speed
Yeah.
racing. Is there any comparison between the two?
There's a huge comparison. Or apples and oranges on the drag strip or on the Bonneville Salt Flats. Everybody thinks that, you just twist the throttle down the Salt Flats like you do on the drag strip. The drag strip is full throttle, dump the clutch, and you go. And you have about 3-point plus G-force when you leave that starting line. But when you're on the Bonneville Salt Flats, you finesse the throttle because you could get a little sideways very quickly. And it's all about finessing the pedal or finessing your throttle. But once you get going up to speed, that's it. Like after a quarter mile, you run out of like, oh, is it over? It's like let off on the throttle. Well, in the Bonneville Salt Flats, you got 10, you got realistically, you got 7 to 8 to 10 miles of pure, just full on out with some stoppage, with some miles to stop too. So
yeah.
That's if you have a good year for the Bonneville Salt Flats to be actually, the surface.
And what appealed to you racing for speed records over circuit racing?
Well, number one, it's a lot cheaper. You don't need as much sponsorship, but when you get to going over 300, 400 miles per hour, the sponsorship is well needed. I've always actually, when I was drag racing, I actually was doing land speed racing. One of my first sponsors, Jesse Jerns from Legendary Ride Suspension, he sponsored my drag racing efforts. And he asked me to be a rider for one of his custom motorcycles. And he's the one that developed the air suspension and, to make all the bikes look cool as they were sitting in the bar or in the Sturges or, just everywhere and anywhere. Yeah. But it gave that effect, that low rider effect, but you can also have the effects of being very comfortable when you do ride, to raise up the air suspension. So he was the first one that got me out there. And I was so scared to go out there. And, but I had friends that talked me out of it, to talk me into it, to say, this is a great opportunity. It's just amazing. And there's not a lot of, at the time when we went to the Bub motorcycle speed trials, there was only, when I started, there was only 3 of us ladies. Yep. Started, like in the second year that it actually came about. But, having being in the first 3 ladies of setting land speed records in a very well male dominant industry was pretty cool. So it's grown, to 50 to 100. I mean, it's the numbers are up there. So
yeah. And being a male dominated industry, did that pose any issues for you when you got started?
Yeah, there's always difficulties of being the first to do everything or anything. There's always difficulties of racing against you're not really racing against the men, you're racing against the record. And there is no male or female record. It is the record, like it is a number, and that's what you're going for. So there could be some obstacles and hurdles that you have to get through And, along with that, you have to prove yourself when you're out there. It's like, she's just a girl. She's pretty. She's okay, but, hey, we're not there to make friends on the starting line. After we exit the exit, we're fine. We're all shaking hands, kissing babies, right?
So what must it be like traveling, 350 or more miles an hour, whether that be on your four wheels or your two wheels?
It is quite numb feeling. Sometimes when you think you've had your slowest run, it ends up being your fastest. And when you're strapped into a custom fit motorcycle cockpit with absolutely no room to wiggle, it's literally breathtaking. There's a lot of work that goes in there. It gets a little exhausting, getting all the safety gear tied down, strapped in. I had a custom molded seat. But once they get all that strapped in and they're done doing, the Valerie job to make sure that I'm safe and I'm strapped in totally. Your thoughts and your thoughts go quickly into a focus, and the focus turns into the task at hand, and then you're ready to make history. Yeah. And I've always said I have, the front row seat to history because I'm right there. And when they fire, then to continue, when they fire, when they finally make their final adjustments and the engine comes to life, it's like I get this burst of energy, and then I go quickly into my calming zone. I get so focused, and then once I take a hold of my controls, my hand, to control, going straight. And we don't have a steering wheel, so we have these controls on each side of the cockpit. In the cockpit, I know that I'm not going to ever let go until I slow down, and that's the weirdest part. Like, these hands will never move off this, 8-mile, 10-mile fast speed, whatever the outcome is. It's just an unbelievable feeling knowing that your hands will never be moved.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine that there'd be too much time to think about anything else other than focusing on what you're doing and staring onto the horizon.
Yeah, the horizon is your best friend because you don't have anything to gauge. You can't gauge when the wind is coming to your right or your left, and how we kind of oppositely kind of steer into the wind, to keep us upright and to keep us in the middle of the track or wherever we need to be. I don't feel the wind, and that's a huge difference. So when I'm on my sit-on bikes, when I raced on the BMW S1000RR, I could feel the wind. I am one with the motorcycle, but when I'm in a cockpit, you don't feel wind. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. And also too is everything about riding on a sit-on bike to get into a streamliner, whether it's a car or a motorcycle, you have to throw out a lot of your knowledge about how to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, it's
completely different.
Totally different setup, isn't it?
Yeah, totally different.
And do you hear anything? You've got a big engine there. Do you hear anything?
It's when you're driving it or when you're riding, it's loud, it's bumpy. You focus on pure concentration, with a pinch of insanity. There's so much adrenaline that goes in with it. The bike is so close to the ground, and it's mind-boggling. It's like, yep, I'm that close, it's like, you're like a couple inches from the ground, but that's aerodynamics, that's
Yeah.
coefficient to drag, that is exactly what they built that motorcycle, what it's there for to do. Because, I just didn't race a sit-on bike to go fast. I raced a custom a bike that was meant for cutting, going through the air and traveling so fast.
Yeah. You have various land speed records in a range of classes. How do the different bikes compare to each other? Obviously, most of them are, sit on a standard,
Awesome. Yep.
or kind of standard style.
Yes.
how does that compare? Being in the open air, and it's a different dynamic, I would imagine.
Absolutely. It's a great feeling when you are trying to fight the air and you're getting blown off a racetrack, but you try everything you can not to hit the cones on the side or the flag, or get out of the actual racetrack, because once you get off of the racetrack, it is so bumpy. It's not prepared, and
Right.
it's all Mother Nature. I mean, they try their best, but it's not a place you ever want to be on the side of a racetrack.
Yeah.
And that goes for a drag strip too. There's a big, huge, chunky wall that weighs probably tons of pounds called concrete. But yeah, so every bike has a story. Every helmet has a story. Every owner of the motorcycles that I have rode for, and I have owned my own motorcycles as well.
Mhm.
Everyone has a good story.
Yeah.
Yep, loud pipes save lives on the racetrack, right?
You mentioned about wind conditions and Mother Nature and those kinds of things. How much does the weather play a part when you're doing a race like this?
It plays a huge part, because when I was in the Bub 7 motorcycle streamliner, we don't race with more than 3 miles per hour of wind in any direction, and
Right.
and that's like that's what our the team had. They do not want to go more than 3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
In wind. When you're on a sit-on bike, you have a little bit more options, because you can counteract the wind. You can really, you can feel the wind. And like I said, in the streamliner, you cannot feel the wind. So you really, really depend on the true accurate weather.
How much training goes into the use of a particular bike? I mean, because they're all a little bit different, do you spend a lot of time, and particularly the Bub 7, I suppose we mentioned, you've got the cockpit, and that's, you've got a lot of gear in there. But how much training is before you try and set a record goes into this?
The training that I take and I do is, besides eating right, working out, but there is really no training that you get to get in the bike to actually make runs, to practice, or to keep the bike straight up on the joysticks. It's a little bit more difficult in the motorcycle streamliner, but on the race bike, on the sit-on bike, you can actually. My bike is not street legal, but I can ride it here or there.
Right.
But just the training, whatever the things that go on behind closed doors is the hardest part. The easy part is to actually get to the racetrack. When you're there, the easiest part is when you're at the racetrack, let me just say, and you're actually there, and you're there in motion and doing it. That's the easiest part. The speed, I always said speed is easy. It's everything else, where it's the fitness, the sponsorship, the news, the media that you have to, that you need to stir up. Because we are not televised on television, and your sponsors want, accurate readings. They want accurate, how can I get, what's my benefit?
Yep.
So you have to create the buzz, and it's fun because that way we can educate people of, the Bonneville Salt Flats and what it is and what it stands for and why I do it. Don't ask me why I do it because I don't know until this day. 18 years later, I still don't know why.
So
I love adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie, period.
is there anything else that you do for an adrenaline fix, or is it just motorcycles?
Well, pickleball.
Pickleball.
Pickleball is another adrenaline. Yes, pickleball and racing go side by side. There's so much that goes into it. I mean, you got to eat right. You got to, not only do you work out, but you got to take care of your body. And being in your 50s and playing in over 100-degree weather, and here in Arizona, I mean, it takes a beating on your body, and even racing. So what I am doing is, and what I had used the pickleball as my fitness regimen, a part of my fitness regimen. Yeah. I wanted to be snappy and quick on the ball and the paddle, and I wanted to be in good shape, for my cardio side of things, because I hate standing on a treadmill or on a bike and elliptical, whatever they call them. Yeah. I do not like that. I don't do that. And I've actually lost a lot of weight just by playing pickleball. So it is a great fitness, but the mindset and when I am playing in tournaments now, I'm more scared playing in tournaments. I shake my ball in the hand before I get ready to serve, in pickleball, there's a lot of room for errors, but in racing, there's no room for error. You have to be precise, and you have to be, got to do your job well.
How long have you been playing pickleball?
Just over a year.
Yeah. And
I have 17 medals now. I'm going to be a professional pickleball player when I grow up.
When you grow up.
Mark my words, Jackson Jones. And to all your fans on the biker bar, I will be a pro before you know it. That's what I do. I do everything fast forward. When I put my mind to something, in like the racing world, I didn't have any friends or family in the racing world. I was just told I was out of control, take it to the track, and and I had great friends to help me to, go to the track. And I love the competition. I love to prove that I am the best on any given day. And that's on the pickleball court, and that's on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Note to self.
Don't play pickleball with Valerie. She'll kick your butt.
Well, we even put a pickleball court. This is what I do. This is how my marketing mind works. We put a pickleball court at the Bonneville Salt Flats. So we actually had a pickleball court. We mapped it out. We measured it out. We have a portable net. USA Pickleball Association sent us the net, sent us some wonderful paddles, and we played pickleball. I mean, you can't go full on out and play pickleball, but, and smash the balls because the ball will go everywhere. But the mayor of Wendover was actually playing pickleball with me, and he's quite accomplished pickleball player, and we ended up being on the front cover of the newspaper at the Wendover Times with our pickleball court. So we'll do that again. But I can officially say I'm the first person to put a pickleball court at the Bonneville Salt Flats at the racetrack.
Well, you'll be giving the other riders a part of your competitive edge then.
Absolutely.
They'll be getting their eye
strategy,
in.
right?
Yeah.
I gotta cure it somehow. I gotta, I can't live without playing pickleball on any day. I play sometimes 2-3 times a day. And the thing about playing pickleball and racing, and it's kind of a good combination of a good time to maybe bring it up, but yeah. I can't practice racing. I can't be like, better in racing on any day. I can't do that. The only thing I can do is behind the scenes of, being in the competitive world of pickleball. Okay, fine, that's pickleball, but it does really help my mindset. It really will take me to mind-blowing, like what our team is, what we're going to go out there to do, and what we're going to go out there to accomplish. And going over 450 miles per hour is going to take a lot of courage and a lot of wine. I said wine, not whining, but besides that, it's going to take a lot of, preparation, for mindset. And if I can be nervous at playing pickleball and not nervous and be calm in the race car or bike, that's a piece of cake, I said. Maybe I'm lying.
So in 2018 at Lake Gairdner in South Australia, you're attempting a land speed record in the Bub 7 Streamliner, and at around 350 miles per hour, it flipped. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, without being emotional?
Sorry. I don't want to go too much into it, but I mean,
it's okay. Yes, I survived a horrific crash competing at the world's speed trials in Lake Gairdner in 2018. Just a day before, I went 328 miles per hour, and I'm not going to say the bike was fully ready, but I was ready. And the end result is, it ended up in a big crash, and still not 100% sure why. I kind of know, but it's just not something that we need to go through. But it did weigh a lot of weight on my shoulders, for the team, for myself, and we had been going through the rebuild process for all these years. I did commit to help with the rebuild and whatnot, but unfortunately, last December, I was told that I'm no longer the writer, and which was very hurtful. And it was very because I put a lot of interest in this motorcycle and a lot of support, and kind of having the carpet taken out from your shoes or your feet is kind of mind blowing. But I know that I'm in a good position, and wish the next rider the best of luck. All right. Wishing them the best of luck, but hey, I'm in a good spot with my racing career going forward, and I'm excited for my new journey in four wheels. And I'm still racing on sit-on bikes, and I have a heart of speed. I got ice in my veins still. I will never give it up.
So is that your, imagine that everything you do is at 100 miles an hour.
I correct you, that would be 200 and something.
200 and something. I knew I was saying it too slow.
Yeah. Everything I kind of do, it's either that I'm racing to hit the button in the elevator, to turning off or doing something faster. I'm always walking either faster to get there faster, or wheeling through the traffic. Or when you're at the SEMA show and there's hundreds and thousands of people, I'm that person that wheedles, and I'm like a NASCAR driver on feet. I'm that's the only way you can get through the crowd. You have to be aggressive. So I guess that is my nature of being aggressive, with a pinch of insanity and having some adrenaline flowing through the ice of my veins.
What are some of the highlights of your career? Are there any moments that particularly stand out?
Yeah, the highlights of my career have been going from street riding, my passion for my motorcycle to ride. My friends have told me, you got the pregnant glow. And I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. I don't want the pregnant glow. But they meant it in a good way. Like when I'm on my bike, you could feel my spirit. You could feel my passion for two wheels. You could feel that. And, for somebody to feel it and tell me you have like a glow, and it ended up being the pregnant glow, because pregnant women have great glow. I might have a glow today, but I'm not pregnant. But, I think just the transformation of taking my my passion to action, to racing, that's probably the beginning. It's, that was the biggest highlight of my career, how it started.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible because, I didn't know that I was going to become this kind of person. I didn't know that I had this kind of confidence. I never had the confidence in myself. I did, but I didn't know just what my gut feeling is like. I didn't know how to trust my gut. I didn't know that I had this much confidence in myself. And, going through the ups and the downs of racing as a racer, we have many of them, but, that form of that word, hashtag never give up, is, such an important message, because, I've wanted to give up. I've had to give up. I did give up, but I bounced right back and I got back in on my 2 feet. And I guess getting back to your asking question, is the highlight of my career has been when I started, to how I redeem myself, to give up and then get back on the saddle again.
I guess having the mental strength to keep going and to compete, and that's got to be an important aspect of what you do.
Yes, absolutely. And, one of the things that a lot of people might not understand, but when you do travel and you go to state and you are by yourself, and at the time I didn't have a significant other. I had a dog and his name was Reckon. And so it was really hard when you did have to travel and you had to leave your home and your friends. And life on the road it's lonely, it really is. It's a lonely world, and it's weird to say that, but the journey can be a little bit lonely. But one thing that I learned, that if I could redo my journey all over again, is that I would include a lot more sightseeing. I would include a lot more hands-on learning about the state, or just learning more about places and enjoying that environment.
Yeah.
I was always fixed on getting to the next race. I mean, hey, when you got to go to 14 different states all in 1 year, and your engine breaks down and you have to wait in Virginia at, negative, or 14-degree weather, and you're in a hotel and it's like, with your dog, and it's like, it's cold, and you're waiting for days for your engine to get repaired, and it's so cold, and it's like, I can't wait to go back to Arizona.
Well, that's something that I didn't actually imagine. I imagined that you would have a big crew that you went with, and you traveled on the road and did all this. I didn't realize that.
Well, when I first started out, I didn't have a big crew, because we didn't need a big crew. And I couldn't afford a big crew, because I didn't have a big enough sponsorship pocketbook, because I don't have a spoon, whatever that saying is. But, we had a nice tight crew that everybody knew. In my drag racing career, everybody knew what we had to do. Yeah. I drove the truck and trailer to get from A to B. And then I had some help from one of my crew chief that was just started out with me. And then once he couldn't come on my journey anymore and be my crew chief, well, the other crew chief would fly in and I would drive everywhere. So, but I had the most incredible fun driving with my truck and my trailer, listening to my music, and music is so important on and off the racetrack, and to be a dog mom. And, that was huge for me, because how do I live life on the road with a dog? And the dog was Reckon, and his name was Reckon, and he was a Maltese, and just a fine little cup of tea, just yay big. And he was actually the highlight of the racetrack, and everybody's like, well, where's Reckon? Where's Reckon? It's like, well, what about Valerie? I'm here. That's me. But that dog got me through a lot of feeling lonely, and I got to be a caretaker. And so that actually opened up my heart to actually, have relationships, and try to have relationship, I guess I could say.
So if someone was...
It's hard to have a relationship when you're on the road. It's hard to have, ongoing friends relationship as well, because when your friends invite you to come for a pool party or you go out to dinner, it's like, no, I can't. I'm in Wisconsin. No, I'm in Texas. And you miss that friendship. But, when I got to the racetrack, you had family, and family was my racer. So I actually had family at the racetrack. And when I left, and when race season was over, it's almost like your family is now you go into a little bit of a depression, because now you have to rebuild your home friends.
Yep.
But you left your family racetrack friends at the racetrack in all their different states that they live in.
Yep.
And then you kind of go into a little bit of the mindset and you don't have the people that are used to coming around anymore, and you're lonely, and it can be quite lonely. I know from experience.
Yeah. How often would you be on the road?
Oh, I lived life on the road,
right,
for probably 9 months.
Right.
I never really went home. I have a beautiful condo, and I missed it. But if I was at the condo and I was having a normal job, I would be like, boy, I wish I was on the racetrack. So it really helped my life, and helped who I was, and taught me how to be self-sufficient. And it taught me how to, if I had a breakdown, how to fix things. It taught me, it actually has helped tremendously.
Yeah. Would you recommend drag racing or land speed racing to others, and how would they get into it?
I recommend both, because they're apples and oranges, but it's just fun. It's great to go down the quarter mile and shut it off. It's the land speed racing is awesome. We've got a great family. If you need a part, people will help. People will do everything and anything, everything and anything to help you. And then you have the volunteers that are there at the racetrack, and then you have the organization that puts it all together, and their sponsorship and how they do their part. And we do our sign up part properly. But to have somebody get into the form of racing, I mean, you really, you need extreme focus. You make sure that this is something that you want to commit to. Don't do it halfway. Yeah. If you're going to do it halfway, you're going to be halfway pregnant, and there's no such thing of being halfway pregnant. So, and if it's something that you want to do, and it's something that you think you can do, well, you need the right support. The support around you is the most important part. So having the sponsorship, having the team is everything. And without the team, I would not have been where I am now. Yeah. So my team is incredibly supportive, and And no matter what team I'm on, they're just 100% supportive. But, be yourself, be you, be humble, and work hard and enjoy every moment. And if you can live life on the road, please make sure you enjoy the journey, getting from point A to point B, because I was always on a rush. I was always trying to get there fast. I was always trying to be like over prepared, because what if I broke down?
Yeah.
I don't want to miss my race.
So, and finally, what's in store for you in the coming years?
Well, I don't think I'm coming back to Lake Gairdner anytime soon, but I am going to Bolivia. I am going to Bolivia.
Yeah.
But like there's only 3 places in the world to do this kind of racing: is Bolivia, Australia, and here in the United States at the Bonneville Salt Flats. So that's just a little education for your viewers and your fans. And but my next journey is really to focus on these 4 wheels for right now for this year, along with riding on maybe an electric bike that I have in store.
Yeah.
You have to follow me on my social media to find out the scoop. Or, I still am going to ride on some sit-on bikes, and they're not going to be as fast, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's all about the journey. It's all about the experience, and it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you are.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to enjoy my pickleball career, because I am going to be a senior pro pickleball champ one day. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to win some more gold medals.
Well, I'll have to start the pickleball bar so that we can do a webinar on that.
Should. Oh my gosh. Being in, they go hand in hand with me. It's the world's fastest growing sport in the world, in America, like in the world. Okay, America. But my other goal is to actually play. Pickleball is not in the Olympics as of right now, but one day I would love to be in the Olympics and be an Olympian, the United States, America, Olympian pickleball player, because at the rate of speed I'm going, they say she's a fast girl. And I'm like, I want to be faster on the racetrack. But I also want to be fast on the pickleball court. So I'm fast on and off the court. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm still fast.
Well, I can't see anything stopping you. That's for sure.
No.
Well, thanks, Valerie, for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure, and
You're welcome.
And I hope that we can catch up again at a later date, and you can tell me more about your adventures.
Absolutely. We'll have another conversation when I become faster.
Absolutely.
I will guarantee you that.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, Valerie. I'll talk to you soon.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you to everyone for listening. And please follow my journey on my social media, ValerieThompsonRacing.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it.
Brilliant. I'll have all the links in the YouTube.
Perfect. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Valerie. Bye then.
Thank you. Good night.